Aloha. Aloha Ke Akua. Aloha Aina Malama Pono. Amen. So, sending my love to you. Welcome to B Channel 2026, first posting. This one is titled Backdoors and Killswitches. It is the 9th of February in the morning. And I need to apologize in advance. I think this one might end up having some length to it. But you may find, as I do, that the material is important. Well, I hope it's helpful. If you're among those targeted individuals who may need this information for survival during this time of oligofascism, this may be useful. This is R-rated content. Hopefully I don't have too much big full X in there. There may be, just given the conditions, there may be some little X, but then you've got RX. You know, this joke is like a medicinal. I'm the doctor level practitioner of Ayurveda, so I can't help myself there. I look at things. Hopefully this doesn't piss people off too much. I'm going to try to follow a script and keep things moving along. And there's a little bit of repeat content from channel A, but it does feel appropriate to repeat it. Let's review some words. So one is a new word. I think it's new. I'm introducing it as of last year, 2025, oligofascism. So a form of fascism, but instead of a single dictator, a small faction. Below, it has an assortment of guises, maybe labeled, called, or cloaked in different terminology. So the claim is that other things, if it's a group of people, whether it's totalitarianism, authoritarianism, that may still be like all these terms may actually kind of have the same, they may actually be the same thing. And actually, if we just go ahead and call a spade, we can call it oligofascism. That's a little bit elegant, maybe too hotty-totty. We're actually talking about organized crime. Crimes in opposition to human laws and crimes in opposition to the general laws of God, however you define that, but the commonality there is love, or to the divine order. Instead of love, there is greed or hate, hate can be thought of as a form of greed. Therefore, in pursuit of money, power, and dominance, violence and oppression are employed in service of greed. Because we have a global cabal, the axes of evil, we have oligofascism. Criminal, adjective, of, involving, or having the nature of crime, such as criminal abuse. That's one. Two, relating to the administration of penal law. 3A, guilty of crime. 3B, characteristic of a criminal. 4, shameful, disgraceful, such as a waste of talent. We just had a posting, this is the 9th of February 2026, we just had a posting from the White House that was shameful. There's no other word, well there's a lot of other words, but that would cover it. Shameful, first word, number 4. One that has committed or been legally convicted of a crime. Well, lie, noun, a false statement deliberately presented as being true. A falsehood. 2, something meant to deceive or mistakenly accepted as true. Verb. 1, to present false information with the intent of deceiving. 2, to convey a false image or impression, such as appearances often lie, or the idiom to lie through one's teeth, to lie outrageously or brazenly. Before we go further, let me just make sure I assert a copyright here. Let's see that, and then we'll... Okay, vicious, adjective. Mean-spirited or deliberately hurtful, malicious, such as vicious gossip. 2A, extremely violent or injurious, cruel, such as a vicious blow to the stomach, vicious tactics in suppressing a rebellion. 2B, marked by an aggressive disposition, used chiefly of animals. Extremely violent or injurious, or marked by an aggressive disposition, used chiefly of animals. Disposed to violent or destructive behavior, such as a vicious dictator. Severe, powerful, or intense. Fierce, such as a vicious storm. Having the nature of vice, evil, immoral, or depraved, or such as all men who succeed in finance in New York at last return to their native towns, assert their cities are vicious, and marry their childhood sweethearts. That's Sinclair Lewis. And we'll see where this goes. As I'm starting, there clearly is some kind of audio, I assume audio monitoring, because the beam weapon has just been turned on as I start. So it's not too bad right now. So Oliver, let's see, Charles Dickens, given to vice, immortality, and depravity, such as, and this is Charles Dickens, the sum and substance of it was that Oliver was a foundling born of low and vicious parents. That's immorality, excuse me, if I said that wrong. Given to vice, immorality, and depravity. The sum and substance of it was that Oliver was a foundling born of low and vicious parents. Charles Dickens. If you want immortality, you can't be vicious. It goes the other way. You have to be good. You have to have your Jesus moment or whatever. Yeah, that slipped away. Okay. Evil. Adjective. Morally bad or wrong. Wicked, such as an evil tyrant. Causing ruin, injury, or pain. Harmful, such as the evil effects of a poor diet. Characterized by or indicating future misfortune. Ominous, such as evil omens. Bad or blameworthy by report. Infamous, such as an evil reputation. Characterized by anger or spite. Malicious, such as evil temper. The quality of being morally bad or wrong. Wickedness. That which causes harm, misfortune, or destruction, such as a leader's power to do both good and evil. An evil force, power, or personification. Something is a cause or source of suffering, injury, or destruction, such as the social evils of poverty and injustice. Adverb, in an evil manner. Bigot, noun. One who is strongly partial to one's own group, religion, race, or politics, and is intolerant of those who differ. Now, we have a lot of bigoted behavior in the United States, but the Statue of Liberty is really a beacon for something really different than that. And a lot of us want that to be who we are, and we believe that's who we are, and we strive to be that way. More open-minded, open-hearted. In France, this related to being an excessively religious person, but an intolerant person. But it kind of came to mean a religious hypocrite. And if we look at people who call themselves Christian and are trying to destroy the world so they can bring on the apocalypse, so Jesus Christ will come to the world and save them, it's very strange. Like, how would that, like, if you just step back, it doesn't make sense. Like, what color is their Kool-Aid? Like, this is like a big Jim Jones show. It's just amazing. We also have misogyny, which is the hatred or mistrust of women. Those kind of seem to all be packaged up in some people's confused space. Violent, adjective, causing or intending to cause damage. Injury or death, often when involving great force, such as a violent car crash or a violent attack. B. Characterized by or displaying physical violence, such as a violent past, a violent movie. C. Caused by unexpected force or injury rather than by natural causes, such as a violent death. So I would argue that suddenly canceling USAID on very short notice and the ongoing but resultant 600,000 deaths. That's violence, clearly. 1D, given to physical violence, such as a violent criminal. 2A, very forceful, using the powers of the federal government to weaponize the Justice Department, go after individuals that you don't like for no other reason than just being vindictive and vicious. Very forceful, such as the violent tossing of the ship by the waves, a violent squall. 2B, intense or extreme, especially in emotion, such as violent anger. 2C, characterized by extreme emotion, especially in anger, such as a violent argument. 3, vivid as in brightness or saturation, such as violent colors. 4, tending to distort meaning or intent, such as a violent interpretation of a text. Okay, this one's really important. Terrorism. Noun. Terrorism. Noun. Short definition. The use of violence or the threat of violence, especially against civilians, in the pursuit of political goals. Folks, we have domestic terrorists in power in the United States right now. What is today often labeled as terrorism by powerful first world governments are in some cases the actions taken by people who face an existential threat or unlivable oppression and feel there's no option but to engage in violent action against their oppressors. Obviously, there's also action taken by extreme, violent, religious zealot fundamentalists. Note that modern instances here might actually include Hindus, Zionists, and indeed now in the U.S., people who may indeed call themselves Christians. But let's recall Matthew 7:15. Watch out for false prophets. They come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ferocious wolves. By their fruit, you will recognize them. All right, the title of this video is Backdoors and Kill Switches. During discussions to sell China the Model 200 NVIDIA chip, as I recall, their primary concern was about backdoors and kill switches. Why? Well, as everybody knows, a lot of stuff is made in China these days. And as many might know, the sophistication of tech designed and made in China has been evolving. I will show you a picture of a lithium-ion battery made in China and found in an older laptop, and you can see that it's a little bit dubious. And the origin of not flying lithium-ion batteries was a 747 that was taken down by a pallet of these are old, cheap Chinese lithium-ion batteries. But I just had my first lithium-ion battery actually try to melt on its own, and it was quality, but old. Some people think they go about 5 years, and then they're going to start burning houses, so that's soon. Anyway, so clearly that one is not the top of the heap, but this has changed. Now China basically owns the production of electronics around solar energy, apparently. Famously, the Chinese, we're talking about the military regime of China right now. I do not want to impugn the lovely Chinese culture and its exalted sequence of civilization and dynasties, and it's a much more civilized culture, say, than Putin's Russia, but we do have pretty terrible human rights abuses, obviously. So famously, the Chinese, the military regime is quite aggressive on industrial and other espionage. It's quite famous. A key theme apparently on electronics made in China, maybe going back to 2005 or so, but much more lately, is the ability for electronics to do things that aren't what is described on the box or in the marketing. And I'm seeing some of this. So what is a backdoor? We're not talking about a flap on the orange jumpsuit awaiting our current so-called president. A backdoor in electronics and generally in the cyber-tech world is a way for someone other than the user or the owner to access the device for any nefarious purpose, starting with quiet surveillance, perhaps, but much more is possible, such as disabling function, which is, or would be, the kill switch. Two terms to understand when contemplating this would be normal operation and plausible deniability. A clever hack or alternate software design intended for malfeasance, such as a pirate foreign actor version of a computer operating system, would try to be as similar to the real McCoy as possible, but often there will be some anomalous behavior. In particular, if the intent is to have anomalous behavior that is effectively a kill switch, shuts things down. Just a moment ago, I had an experience going onto the Wikipedia webpage for Nixon and downloading, just trying to make a PDF of that, killed the computer. Anyway, I've seen a lot of this. So it might look like a normal error or software glitch, but sometimes it's beyond plausible deniability, which is certainly what just happened. So this is where understanding what normal operation looks like in detail may be critical to knowing if you have had a bad actor get into your gear. Do you still own your device or not, fundamentally? In such a case, you may not own your equipment. A simple example would be when Russia, China, Iran, or whoever has managed to hack your router, and suddenly you may find that you don't have admin access anymore. Right? If you had admin access, you're really confident you've got the right password, and suddenly you're locked out. Well, you got locked out. And then, if this happened, you may in fact not be able to use the little button on the back to restore the equipment to factory resets. This is the indication, not normal operation. Normally, if you forgot your password, you just push a little button and it goes back to the factory, and you're right. But if it locks and you can't get in, or it may just completely die. So I've seen both many times. And now I will be showing you a photo gallery of wrecked equipment. Here you go. Aloha. So, for some reason, possibly related to my work in physics or recent spiritual experiences, or my history as an activist, and thus a potential threat to the rise of oligofascism, I am clearly targeted by these powerful criminal organizations. Let us consider for a moment that the term criminal organization or organized crime covers a number of terms or categories, including fascism, oligofascism, totalitarianism, authoritarianism, terrorism, drug and human trafficking cartels, rogue human rights violating governments such as current-day Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, etc., and actually any corporation or government agency that is willfully breaking the law for either political and or monetary gain. Yep. Billionaires and tech companies who think they are above the law and can abuse people and even children in any way they want to. And they're fighting for those rights in court, by the way, right now. What we are dealing with apparently now is the aftermath of a Pearl Harbor event. But this involves cyber technology, massive election interference and manipulation, massive disinformation campaigns, and an alignment of evil players who apparently hatched and tried to execute a campaign to conquer the world, to enslave humanity. They have called it the harvest. Fortunately, the Trump regime, which I will assert here, is in place as a result of a long-planned and illegal coup. In concert with foreign actors, they have felt so confident, they have openly talked about their ideas and plans. Here we have naked racist ideology, people who openly admit they are fascists, and remarkable, clear, lying, and obvious cover-ups of crimes, including murder. In a way, from a broader view, we can see that the election of Donald Trump in 2024, or whatever ultimately will be known as the Epstein files, are just separate things, but these are nasty, pus-ridden boils, but maybe connected, on a diseased body. Nasty, pus-ridden boils on a diseased body. The whole body has a systemic infection. The boils are the indication that there's an urgent need to get to urgent care or an emergency room as soon as possible. If the United States cannot address this disease soon, the entire body may die. Frankly, actually, if we have to restart without the cancer, and just a side here, cancer, best option, surgery, right? Best option in modern times is immunotherapy. Then there's radiation and chemo. Frankly, if we have to restart without the cancer, it may be the best option. But there's some pretty messy scenarios on that path. As to my detailed ideas for a cure, that is going to have to be a different presentation. At the end, I kind of touch in, and this is going to take the whole world. Where one person is not going to solve this problem. It's going to take all hands on deck. And really, it starts with each and every one of us. We have to choose love. That's the beginning. This video is my presentation of field observations of what I've discovered, what has happened, and as well what I've discovered as to topical specific remedies, why I'm still alive making this video. If I'm able to post it online, it's because I somehow have been able to do it. And that have enabled me to survive primitive emergency measures, such as they are. I'm just one dude on a farm trying to figure it out. Okay. One little break while I adjust the camera. Okay, so I've broken this up into some different categories. The first one is direct physical attack. This includes murder and attempted murder. A close activist friend of mine was clearly murdered. Note in the YouTube video of October 24, which I just put up because it was chopped up into little pieces, and I was actually totally terrified, and at that time completely shut down. In the YouTube video of October 2024, pre-election, I'm clearly rattled. You can see that. There have been at least, my friend had just been killed. There have been at least a dozen attempts on my life. Methods include attempted car accident events, there are many of these, electrocution and poisoning, and there are different versions of that as well, and other things. Here is a strange ceramic chip, and I'll get some other images going for you, but there's this, I don't know if you can see this, it's like a little ceramic chip. It may photograph. I think it's ceramic. I haven't broken it to see. It's hard like ceramic. It could be hard plastic. This was embedded in a piece of pizza kind of mysteriously, right in a time when there were attempts being made on my life. I don't know if you can see that, but there was an oil slick, and I'll put some pictures of that as well, laid down clearly to cause mischief right up to a stop sign, right where you would have fast ongoing rush hour traffic or high-speed traffic, relatively high-speed here. So clearly someone could be trying to stop and they would end up getting T-boned, and I think it was laid down right before I was kind of doing my regular routine right up to that stop sign. There have been some hard projectile objects landing on the roof. We might even get to hear one or two, we'll see, above my head at particular times. Maybe right now it won't happen, but it isn't clear what they are. I went up to look for whatever. I couldn't find anything. So possibly what we're dealing with there is ice or dry ice, so they would disappear. This would invoke plausible deniability. The oil slick, there's no plausible deniability there. Now, this little thing, if I'd swallowed it, I would have been bleeding internally and really ill. But it wouldn't. Maybe that doesn't show up in X-rays. I don't know. One of the local drug gang's enforcers, this is some years ago, was famous for throwing dry ice on a metal roof. If you didn't know what was going on, it would seem really weird or scary because of the strange and loud sounds of the metal contracting. So this did happen on my roof when he was stalking me. When the craziness really started up, and as the attempted murders were starting, we could say. I think, well, the attempted murders on me, and then there's a bunch of suspicious deaths around here. Anyway, around this time, 2023, I think there was a plot to kill me and steal my identity and assets. This is when there was physical sabotage and thefts of documents inside a locked building. So I have other videos that go into the beam weapon attack. The beam weapon attack, and that's by the way why this is on right now, because it's on. It wasn't when I started the video. Some of which I have measured in the 5G range, and I have another video of actually taking measurements. This is basically weaponized, I think it's weaponized telecom or actual military hardware being used in an attempt to kill or otherwise attack civilians. It's a little hard. We kind of have plausible deniability here because an EM beam weapon is traceless. All that's happening is the victim is affected. Unless somehow we could backtrace corporate records or something, I don't It's troublesome. And yeah, it's a very clever weapon. But there is licensure for 5G, which is a clear smoking gun, and Elon Musk jumping up and down high on whatever cocktail it was before the election, confident Trump was going to win, and talking about the lasers from space, right? Microwave beam weapon is a maser from space, literally laser from space. Okay, so primary suspect, SpaceX, here in Hawaii. But it could be routers, it could be cell phone towers. They all can generate concentrated microwave energy. So it's basically weaponized telecom or actual military hardware being used in an attempt to kill or otherwise attack civilians. If I hadn't invented this, I would probably be dead. Luckily, I have discovered a decent countermeasure, which I need to wear 24/7 most days. And what I do, by the way, I've got a rotation of these things, and I'm wearing, now I'm just doing I found the easiest thing to do is to wear a thin bandana that I can wash for my daily stuff. I have a different kit at night. I've got a rotation of these, and I put them in front of a fan just to keep the mold factor down. And then I'm changing out the inner layer of foil, or increasing it. It turns out, I think the energy actually degrades the foil over time. That's in other videos. This whole topic is well addressed in other videos, but it's important. Okay, there's periodic radio interference, FM radio interference, and what I've discovered is that in some cases it appears to be connected to the radio grid, the electrical grid. I have experienced I've experienced internationally radio interference that seems improbable, but apparently relates to transmission lines when I've driven in various countries. Also, various car radios seem vulnerable to hacking, including my truck, in no way I can easily explain. The newer the car, apparently, the more the vulnerability, and as well, a brand of car seems to matter in this and other things. Okay, I found something really interesting. This bulb blocks FM signal, but public radio, but not other channels. Weird. So I'm going to put up a picture of the FM antenna that I have up on my house now. So both of my little houses now get FM directly because there's just too much damn interference trying to get it through the internet. Just too annoying. Computers are just really difficult, and even the cell phone, really difficult. So I enjoy public radio because I can do stuff with my eyes and my hands while I just listen. Maybe I don't catch everything, but the music's great. And anyway, and I don't really watch TV anymore. I'm busy with my health routine. Just the other day, there's light interference on the analog FM on a crystal clear day, but just for a few hours. And there have been various instances, sometimes just one channel. It's kind of scary. Because this feels military. It feels like maybe, is China about to invade Hawaii? I mean, what's going on? It's way outside normal range and strange. Yeah. Of particular and clarifying note is the ongoing sabotage of the pump. It's the pump-based water catchment system at our beach house down at water level. So I now have pump number 5 operating, and there was an assortment of weirdness, including like a demon electronic control pump, well, 2 of them. And then later on, so that was weird. And then it wouldn't work, and then it would like turn on mysteriously in strange ways. Just something going on there. Electronic control. Then there was somebody actually getting through a padlock and bleeding the pressure off a pressure tank, and then there were various odd blockages and debris finding their way into the pump itself, which was the death of pump number 4. And then there were some oddities in actually getting the repair parts for the pump. Weird shipping problems, and then the part itself was strange. So there'd be some pictures, but the last one really takes the cake. So there's a strange object. Let's see what I got here. This is stuff from pump number 5. Ah, yes. This object, and I'll have photos. I've got a bunch of photos. This one really takes the cake because there's no way this is plausible deniability. I don't even know if it's got Kona going on, so I actually packed it in salt. But this thing kind of looks like a piece of right? But it's not. It's too light. It's like some kind of plastic or composite. It has tool marks on it. It's got a weird symmetry to it, and it's hard to photograph. Anyway, there's some good pictures of this. Yeah. This camera won't do very well. This was in the middle of this was in the check valve of the pump. Clearly sabotaged. There's no way we could possibly have plausible deniability there. There's no way for it to get there unless someone put it there. What's this? This is other stuff. I don't know what this is. Oh, this is all the crap that was... I don't know if you can see this, but there's just all this crap that was in there. There's no way this could have gotten in the pump. It's not possible because... well, this was actually the filter, the pre-filter before the pump, but it's like, there's just no way. Because it would have to like swim into an inlet or something. It's like not possible. So someone did something, and it's not like a petty thug. This is something else. This is like, anyway, yeah, if you have like your pump is cycling, if you've got a catchment system and it's cycling, that'll burn out the pump, okay? And what you need to do is look for this little bastard in the check valve. Maybe the Chinese are making thousands of these to ruin people's catchment systems. There seems to be an interest in taking out people's water supply and electrical or power, right? And this is war. I don't know what else to call it. And it's like, it's almost like a test run, or because I haven't heard of anyone else. Well, there was a whisper once, but I don't really know. All I know is I found this crazy ass thing. This one takes a kick. There's no way this is plausible deniability. It's like, it's right up there with that oil slick, similar. So yeah, if we didn't turn our pump off on a regular basis, our pump would have burned out, and I'd be looking for pump number 6 now. Remarkable. I also had a 20 amp GFI that I was using to test pumps and diagnose them, and that one kicked off, died right around this time. And I did a little swab with baking soda on it, and it fizzed. Because the sabotage actors are using some kind of electronic, like EM weapon or something on computer, like they're blasting I have several computers that have the video boards fried. That I think is an MO. Acid is an MO as well. And so I think this GFI was damaged by acid, actually, because it's fizzing. I don't think it would do that from the discharge. There was a hot water heater, venting nearby, but I don't think that explains this fizzing. But again, it's like, well, I'm a scientist, right? I'm trying, always not quite sure, even after some amazing spiritual thing happens, and it's really clear it really did happen. It's like, well, yeah, whatever, going on. It's like, yeah, let's see what happens tomorrow, next day. That's what I'm here for. So there have been burglaries. I've had things taken from my house and my truck. Strange things like a whole bunch of bank records at the same time that the QuickBooks program was doing really weird shit, and the computer was clearly being hacked, or there's a backdoor event, which I hadn't really figured out. All I know is that someone was trying to get me to make big financial mistakes. Apparently. A lot of effort to disturb one guy. It was really amazing. And also the bank website was strange. So I have papers with certain contact information go missing. I had my social security card go missing. I mentioned the computers that had been physically damaged. And it all happened all around the same time. Too likely to be a coincidence. This all happened right around the time I think there was an attempt to steal my identity and my money, the property. Pretty frightening, especially after poisoning episodes. So apparently even a $500 lock doesn't work now. At what's going on now, no key lock, apparently, it would seem, that one can obtain easily. So what I'm doing, I'm just doing an additional layer of a combo lock so I can change the combo. That's right, if it's made by a big corporation and you're a target, your house may not be secure. So I have these Chinese aluminum body locks, but they apparently don't work even if I modify them, because I was wondering if someone was coming down along the shackle part. So I actually put something there. I'm suspecting that there's a magnetic tool that can manipulate the parts inside the lock. I don't know. It's all speculation. Now I'm using a different lock that has a more robust reset. The locks I'm talking about before have the thing where you turn the shackle, whatever it is, and then reset it. But it's delicate, and you can accidentally reset the combo, which could be a disaster, actually. So I'm going with a different style, and as of now, I have security in my house. That's kind of a big deal if you've been poisoned a couple of times. Yeah, so the one that that has the aluminum body is the master made in China. If it's made in China and you're targeted, look elsewhere, I guess. There's a lot of continuum of criminality. I've had sunglasses removed or oddly swapped in a locked truck, I believe. I had a clear case of sabotage of the cabin fan of the truck. I had a headlight that just went oddly off prematurely. That might have been beam weapon. The beam weapon damages things, electronics. I have a radio that's gone bad, too, that have been destroyed. I have all sorts of little devices that are damaged. The beam weapon is pretty intense. Without the EM armor, I could have fallen as well. If I wear the armor, then this can be just a little bit annoying. There is a picture that I'll share of what I did when. So I rate it from 0 to 5. 5 is the maximum I've experienced. 5 is pretty uncomfortable, and that at 5, I'm multi-layering the headgear. Right now it's, I don't know, 2, but I don't know. It's varying quite a bit. Past few days has been quite variable. And what I don't want to do is just be done making this video and be completely unhappy. I'd rather just be clear, and so you get to see me with my little turban. So we're living in some kind of Dr. Seuss reality. My mind is blown by the range and scale of what's happening, and it's happening particularly in the computers, and it's international. But what choice do we have? To go on and challenge the criminals. So I demand liberty. Just say no. I demand liberty. Just say no. Kill your Roomba. That's on the back of my truck now. I demand liberty. Just say no. Kill your Roomba. The Roomba story is amazing, right? Because this lady found a picture of her on the toilet on the dark web. So these robots are mapping people's houses and taking photographs of them naked in the, whatever. Wow. Roomba is now bankrupt, and it's all back to China. Okay. The next topic is hybrid cyber and electronic attacks. Obviously, all of the lies and obviously, all of the lies and disinformation, often employing AI. Okay, we're going to take a break. Aloha. So the next topic is hybrid cyber and electronic attacks. Obviously, all of the lies and disinformation, often employing AI, are part of our now hybrid warfare environment, and a big contributing factor to the non-fair and non-free election of 2024. First one, hacked TV. Really? Yep. My older internet TV locked me out of admin access. So, I'm not quite sure what that means. Could mean anything, I suppose. And last I checked, assorted modern TVs come preloaded with Fox News as option 1 for streaming services. Google is requisite. No opting out. Kind of weird. The best fit for the data on all that? Leave that to the pondering viewer. So hacking routers, as discussed, stolen or broken. So if you don't own your own router, in other words, if you don't have control, if you don't have admin control of your own router, it was stolen by cyber criminals, possibly a powerful foreign government, and then that router could be doing anything when you try to access the internet. At one point earlier on in 2023, the New York Times came back with strange articles, originally in Cyrillic. So I suspect Russia. Burning up cable modems. If the cable company is involved or someone can attack your IP address, well, then the modem can be speed toggled off and on at high speed and burned up. I think I have 2 of these. But I've now concluded the local cable company is so infested with criminality, better I don't even bother. I'm going with fiber optic option, but that phone is periodically cut off, blocked, and so is the internet actually. But I don't know. That's just, I have finite money, So various telecom interference, cell phones and digital landlines. Regular interference with text messages. Internet is periodically jammed or cut off. I often get a white screen instead of a website. I have to do a firmware reset frequently on one cell phone. The other one is a full demon, so it's tricky to use. There's another one that was a cheap cell phone, and it would give me weird messages and do all kinds of stuff, scramble the data, and so apparently the newer the phone, the more demon. I'm favoring iPhones with lightning adapters, not USB-C. They're older. And I'm getting by, but it seems they're all built for surveillance or worse. I have created cell phone jails. Oddly, I have upgraded to 5 double layers of foil, but that doesn't seem to cut off the service. Remember, I'm being beamed by the telecoms, I think, but I don't know the exact details, so maybe more power is coming into my house, and so the old cell phone jail doesn't work as well as it used to. There's the story of the out of Turkey of the Chinese gangs using portable fake cell phone tower equipment that could fit in the trunk of a car to target the Uyghur population. They take their money to create a self-funded criminal operation. Yikes. No idea what's going on here. So, odd electronics. The list includes car stereos, possibly the four-wheel drive control on my truck that switches by itself, apparently. The fan control on the truck. It wasn't just the fan, I don't think. Maybe it was. I don't know. Anyway, replace the fan, new part, no problem. The LED bulb that blocks public radio, a strangely behaving laser printer, and a Chinese inverter that I just suspect would fail to operate if the Chinese were to physically invade Hawaii. They just turn it off. Who knows? So we need to go through some show and tell. So computers, hardware, and software. Alright, so there was the gallery of wrecked equipment. You saw that. So, hardware, software, and of course, firmware. So apparently a lot of equipment these days is made out of the factory either with installed malware that you can't remove, or hardware / software that sets the stage for the installation of the malware. So one thing I'm talking about here is almost every PC you can buy on the market today comes pre-installed with virus software. And when you go to see if you can remove it, it says disallowed by the administrators. In other words, you can't just get Microsoft without this adulteration on almost any computer. There is one computer, one PC I found that if you're very lucky, for a while, you can run it maybe clean if you keep woofing the cookies, is my expression. And I just had that broken just by going on Wikipedia and trying to make one PDF image off Wikipedia. So it's a pretty pernicious problem. When the major companies, Apple, Microsoft, Google, etc., are engaged in malfeasance, it is kind of hard to get equipment that isn't spying on you or capable of interfering with your ability to get work done. If you're an activist, you might be killed outright, but easier is to keep you in some kind of electronic prison where you can be monitored and it will shut down from doing anything at all on a computer. I have a pile of computers that were either physically damaged during burglary or remotely damaged. Apple bricked one Mac Mini and several iPhones. It is pretty hard to get a PC that doesn't come with strangulation software which you can't remove. If you happen to have a clean computer, this is what I was talking about, and if you put it on the internet, good luck keeping it from getting hacked from any number of malicious sites, including major corporate sites that really shouldn't be dangerous, but are. sometimes it would seem an innocuous site has been hacked by maybe Russia, and the owner doesn't know. And that will be the true lot of, quote, botnet computers out there, which may now be almost everything that Apple makes since, I don't know, 2017. I think the demarcation may be starting around OS 10.12.6, just FYI, or something in that zone. This timing coincides with BlackRock owning a lot of Apple stock, the company floundering a bit, and the instruction being to do whatever it takes. And I just remember this coming across the news, like, uh-oh. There's no way that could be good. Well, it's not good. Do whatever it takes to be more profitable. What was a great white flag bastion of integrity, a trusted company, has become a pirate enterprise. Unfortunate what has happened to the tech industry. That's just what has happened. The headlines tell the story. Now Google and Apple are merging their AIs. Pretty much in the domain of hybrid warfare is the weirdness I experience online, both on websites and possibly somewhere between here and there. Here are some examples, and I'm going to show you a whole bunch of examples of interference, and then a little video of this, my computer getting strange, just going on Wikipedia, and a bunch of photos of here, this block. Okay, so. Okay.
The song is Echo, the album is called Echoes. So of course, well, Ponzi going back to other days, a wonderful pianist who should be putting out some more music. That came out of live with concert with Halfman on his new album Landscape from
Next topic, 5G and Wi-Fi. This one's interesting. So not only is 5G used as a weapon to affect the neurology of a human being or destroy electronics, and actually if we look at it in more depth, it's intriguing because infrared and microwave, like there's a little overlap zone there. Infrared would be like if there was a forest fire trying to kick off and embers were going and there was wind and you wanted to just it's possible this technology could augment a fire hazard or a like sort of an ember situation, or maybe even, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. But it's just interesting the way the physics matches up. I just learned this today, by the way. I thought that microwaves were, I didn't understand where they were in the spectrum, amazingly. But there it is. Yeah, we just don't think about them on the spectrum and look at that very often. And we will. There will be, I will give you an image of this chart in depth, so that's coming. It's from my 40-year-old physics textbook. So 5G and Wi-Fi. Let's start with what are general principles. We're going to start with the basic principles of the EM wave. which is central to understanding 5G and Wi-Fi technology, which is central to this conversation. First, let me update you on some bits of my life. So, I'm now using a cell phone jail with 5 layers of heavy foil. And I've concluded that 3-layer design may serve as decent protection from a prying or attacking satellite, so SpaceX, for instance. But it may be insufficient when it's proximal to an enemy device, like that fake Chinese cell phone tower that can be in the back of a truck or, in someone's bedroom or whatever. So the enemy device may also be a neighbor's router that's been hacked. Because proximity matters with EM. The rule of thumb with EM is, it's called the square law. So things, basically you get 4 times as much power when you have the distance. So you can imagine, you've got SpaceX up there, or your neighbor, with their, customer router that, just a standard router, but it's been hacked by Russia to do shit. And it's close enough. It can do shit. And things are much more sensitive than you would imagine. Microphones as well, by the way. And it could be something else. But if it looks like a duck, or if it's, I don't know, there's this concept called Occam's razor, the most logical, likely explanation. Like, you start there. So the device may have been built from the factory to be malicious, or because of a backdoor firmware or some other update pathway, could be automatic. It may have been hacked by an enemy power to become malicious. When I was attacked by beams in a garage in the Seattle airport, and on other occasions, the best fit for the data was multiple routers hacked to become weaponized, to become weapons of hybrid warfare. Okay, I'm going to show you a little video now about this stuff. Okay. Aloha. So what I'm going to do here is show you something. So this is a phone. This is a bowl. Listen. Hear that? So if I really want to get my radio on, yeah, once the volume's up, it really is more clear. So this is the nature of wave propagation with a practical tip. Kitchen bowl party. Okay. So this is my new 5-layer cell phone jail, but it's not working the way I thought it would. And I have one idea why that might be. I have 2 ideas why that might be. So I was sure this would get working. What does work is a 1/4 inch of plate iron. So you can hear it's going, and it's going to keep going. Okay. Ten, 9. There. So, iron works. When I was on the ferry in New Zealand, I could definitely there was no beam getting me. So yeah, to be continued. One thing, I was looking at my notes for the EM jail for phones and such, and I do incorporate this in my helmets. A 2 millimeter gap between the foil is helpful, and so research will continue. But yeah, maybe you need 5 layers, and you want, instead of just heavy mylar, you want some thin 2 millimeter foam in there. We will see. The other possible explanation is that there's actually just more power coming into my house than there used to be that can carry signal. That's possible. Well, but anyway, a little introduction. Have fun. So yeah, if you're building a jail and you want to know it works, that's how you test it. Aloha. Have fun. Be well. Aloha. So I didn't think it was going to be this cool. This is science in play. Like, not only did I show you stuff, but so I was looking at my notes. I said this, that I was looking at my notes, and 5G is like a quarter wavelength is about 2 millimeters. I think this is sort of how it is. Anyway, what I kind of just accidentally discovered is that if I put a thin layer of foam in between the foil, that makes a better helmet. And then that's in the cell phone jails. But my new cell phone jail I made with 5 layers and a layer of mylar, actually. But I didn't put the foam in there. And it didn't work when I tested it, which was interesting. Like, you can test your jails if it's important, I guess. So I had made it an assembly out of 2 bags, basically. And I'll put the pictures of that right here for you. What I did just now is to go ahead and get a layer of foil in there. Excuse me, a layer of foam, just a thin packing foam, about 2 millimeters, and it works. I am stoked for a whole bunch of reasons, obviously, but what a cool report to share, and that makes this like. This is science, right? This is technology and science. Like, what are the possible hypotheses for what's going on? And hadn't thought of that. Happened to look at my research notes, and it's like, okay, let's see if we can improve the technology. And so, yeah, now I've got a 5-layer plus mylar plus foam jail. But what's really interesting about future ideas here is that foam, that 2 millimeter gap in the dielectric, because that is about a quarter of the wavelength, that is really important. And so what I haven't done is do multiple layers of that. And what we're wanting to come up with is that we can make stuff on our kitchen tables that are easy to make and are really lightweight and easy to use. And another thing that is important is kind of getting this trapezoidal shape so that by the time you're stuffing stuff in and out, it just comes in and out easily. And then the other thing about that newer jail is I've got a long piece that folds over, and actually this one folds over, folds, and then goes in the bag, and it works now. I'm very happy. Aloha. Aloha. Okay, so survival response. All this is going on. Obviously, this dielectric invention, headgear, jail, the ability to wrap up a router to shut down the Wi-Fi while you initiate it, maybe get the radio turned off. That's part of it, right? So that's starting out 5G and Wi-Fi, and I've been exploring lately actually defanging Wi-Fi. So the wrap is sort of one way to do it, but there's sort of the next level that I've been exploring, and I have to say, since I've been doing this, I have a lot less trouble. So grand success. So first up, just a minor digression before we get into this. It's cool stuff, but I just want to slip this other stuff in. So we can make our own kill switches. Different idea. Literally, this is the option to pull the plug or the equivalent. And so I'm going to show you a picture. And that picture is basically how to turn off the power just easily. So you can just turn off the electronics without pushing a little button on the electronic or damaging the plug. That's the main thing, if you're unplugging and plugging. And I wouldn't, there's one little switch. I wouldn't try to buy that now out of China, just because things are getting miniaturized and we're in this deep doo-doo situation now, so it might be fine. I don't know. I'm just, if it's made in China, I don't want it in my house. If it's made recently in China, I really don't want it in my house. It's electronics in particular. I have some really nice blade weapons made in China. They're great. So I'm making my own with simple components that I've had lying around, so they can't be weird. But I think if you buy a basic switch now, most likely it is what it's supposed to be, more or less. Should be safe. Note that a basic switch will turn off the hot, but not the neutral. So I now actually have a microwave oven that I have off with this switch, except when I'm using it. But the power filter board for another microwave features an odd thing. It might be a capacitor. I think it is ostensibly a capacitor, and it may be, but it's this kind of largish piece of electronics, and it's going to be on 24/7. Could be a lot of things in there. Curiosity abounds. I mean, at this point, nothing would surprise me is kind of what I'm saying. So I'm trying to reduce the possibilities for surveillance through the grid, for which I have on numerous occasions experienced suspicious or confirmatory events. There was integration with the iPhone, in fact. And if you're unsure, if you're wanting to just be sure, you have your lady friend over or something, just unplug. Just pull the plug. I discuss my very limited foray into modern solar tech, which got weird a little bit later. But one has to wonder why it is so oddly difficult to get a true off-grid system at home scale. Everything wants to be on the internet, even cars. So yep, backdoors everywhere, privacy nowhere. There are cameras and microphones that you actually know about. There is the phone that you keep near at hand and may actually be on when it is pretending to be off, the newer stuff. What if you really are targeted by Putin or the equivalent, as I may well be? No, I am not crazy. I'm sharing some evidence with you. The situation is crazy. Okay, so on this idea, let's put kill switch and AI together. Okay, so here's what I think. I think that with AI, consumers need to have the right to opt out of AI, to have a normal storefront that can't be programmed to violate their civil rights at scale. So I've shown you some of this, but I've experienced a lot. Maybe that should be the default with the option to opt in, but for a limited resettable time period like 24 hours. We probably need to keep children away from AI, at least for now, because of assorted issues that are becoming increasingly obvious, with extreme examples leading to suicides and so forth. And then one has to ask, did the USA commit suicide by managing to vote in a fascist psychopath hell-bent on destroying our institutions, our credibility on the world stage, and supporting our national security enemies? Was AI involved? Probably. Maybe yes. And with the direct involvement of foreign actors, in fact, enemies of the United States of America during a global hybrid war, indeed, World War III. My opinion, of course. But I think it is true, and perhaps this video reveals evidence of why I think it is so. So I've invented this dialectic armor and sheet wrap. The helmets have been a key to my survival, and I occasionally do need to do the thicker layer up. And so here's the layer. For level 5. It's possible. And it must take a lot of resource to pull the energy up to that level, because otherwise it would happen more. And there are a lot of videos on the general topic of that stuff. But let's go deeper into the physics of Wi-Fi. So here I show you the graphic. And we note that even then, 40 years ago, the licensing for the EM spectrum was considered complicated 40 years ago. But it is likely, given the 230 rule for infotech, I think it's the 230 or the 240, whatever that rule is that gives tech companies total immunity, they think, that 5G is somewhat unregulated, but it is specifically allowed to be used to stun civilians. I think it's kind of wide open for them, and they've gone around and attacked people, me. I have been unable to get any information on this, by the way, from the FCC in 2025, even after making various requests by phone and online. No, there are other YouTube videos dedicated to my work on the topic in general, including the use of a spectrum analyzer to study the beam weapon phenomena in the 5G range. It's on YouTube. The bottom line in physics here is that the old gas model for light is just a good model that breaks down when we look at distant supernova, which is the cause of some somewhat odd conclusions. The dark energy ideas. It's kind of wacko, to be honest. The standard model is in fact wrong. The photon is a pseudoparticle, and light is a wave traveling on the deep physical structure of space and time. And just simply accepting that and putting aside the deification of Einstein, that gets us to the answer of what dark energy is. The best match for the data is a simple explanation. Is that we just kind of deified Einstein. The gas model is just a model. Kind of like with electricity, there's a plumbing model of electrons actually moving, and that's not actually how it works. So waves are a basic structure of our world. Here's a cool, and okay, so I've shown you the demonstration with the bowl. You saw that. So we'll see what goes there. And then note also that unlike as indicated in the Snowden movie, if you saw that, the modern microwave oven doesn't do anything for 5G. Okay. So do your own tests, like I showed you. Make it a game for children. Learn some physics. Yeah. I mean, I've been able to come up with some things, all right? But we've got 8 billion clever, creative human beings. And it's all of us here. So fighting oligofascism can be fun. Maybe that's the theme here. So, defang Wi-Fi. In Ayurveda, we have a saying about addressing a disease condition, which is to remove the cause. If you're eating food that is causing disease, like highly processed, addictive crap filled with chemicals that arguably aren't really food, your best option is to stop. Once you stop eating the junk food, you will begin to feel better and your body will crave healthier options. And then you won't be spending money on the crap. Same with cigarettes. We can say the same thing with political entertainment content, which is actually poisonous for your mind, or the doom scrolling and other algorithm-driven content on cell phones. Just stop. You will feel better. Go out in nature, hang out with friends, exercise, eat good food, do nourishing things. Meditate, pray, feel gratitude for your life and the amazing planet we live on with all the other wonderful people, animals, and plants. What a gift. Hallelujah. The oligofascist cabal has weaponized Wi-Fi and 5G not just with the beam weapon, but apparently computers and phones and more have inbuilt backdoors so that sophisticated electronics can be remotely controlled or even disabled, possibly even from space. This is kind of a repeat, I apologize. I started my journey of inquiry and survival with dielectric sheeting, mostly around computers and routers, but have now taken it to another level where I'm physically disabling the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth antennas. So sort of a big discovery came when I was trying to fix a cantankerous printer made by Hewlett Packard. The previous one I had, color printer, was made in China, and that thing was terrible. This one turns out it was also made in China, pretty much. A turning point was when I discovered there was actually a second Wi-Fi antenna, unmarked, unlabeled on the motherboard. But now I'm getting 2 complaints about Wi-Fi not working on this thing. And I fought with it today to make this chart for you, but I was able to make it work. It's just, yeah, with the Wi-Fi working, then it really is difficult, strangely. All right, yeah, but some of the odd behaviors just have completely stopped since I've disabled the Wi-Fi on that thing. So, so here's a bunch of defanged Wi-Fi photos, okay? It turns out that it may be easier to defang the Wi-Fi on Macs than PCs, at least the ones that I'm playing with. I buy cheap PCs, or the fancy ones are very compact. They don't come apart easily. And you need fancier, smaller, different tools for the newer stuff, and it goes on. And then The routers, you sort of have to be committed. You'll be violating the warranty, obviously. Well, not obviously, but pretty much you're going to be breaking them open. But the warranty may not be honored anyway these days. If you're someone like me, it's like, yeah, good luck. Although in store, you can bring stuff back. But I had one warranty, and it's like they sent me this email, and I'm going to show that to you. I think it's going to be in the list of all the other stuff, or I'll put it here. But you can't even read it. It's like, it's just bullshit. So I'm using a poisoned router in the poison sewage space, and so far working, and a clean router, so I was able to turn off the antennas and then wrap it in dielectric for general activity. And in both cases I've removed the Wi-Fi antennas, just because I just want a router. I don't want EM. Because there's too much backdoor just built into these consumer electronics. And when I do the wrap, then I want to flow some air through the setup with a fan if it's going to be any time, or a computer that's wrapped. So you can start out just wrapping like a Mac Mini with dielectric and run, but you can also, in like less than a minute, you can actually defang the Mac Mini. Just pull its antenna. And there's a picture. So basically, you can't buy a consumer level router that is just a router these days. You have to have Wi-Fi, not optional. Like, right. Okay. Next topic: woof your cookies. All right. So I'm going to show you this video of today, which includes, that includes showing you the settings that I use, which is basically turn everything off as much as you can. You run with a minimum footprint, because every one of those settings may be a backdoor. Anything. Wallet, it's all, and they've been for years building this shit, apparently, or hacking. I'm not qualified to assign blame here. All I know is that I'm giving you the report and showing you how it is from my side. Not everyone, I think, you'd hear much more about this if it was common, like, I would think, but people are complaining here and there. And there's, of course, the various piracy and whatever was it called when they kidnap your whole system and hold it for ransomware. That's going on. Everybody now knows that cookies are somehow built for mischief. Initially, it was somewhat innocuous tracking for marketing purposes, but now apparently much more is possible. It is likely that newer operating systems are actually built to interact with Axis websites to do terrible things, like break your computer. So you're wise to know who you're dealing with. There are different pirate ships. It seems that China has retained some independence, while Russia and Hard MAGA are quite aligned, at least to some degree. This is speculation on my part. There are a number of criminal organizations and evil corporations and other parties that cater to them. That's just in the news. It's all in the news these days if you're paying attention. Thrival means understanding some of the fundamentals. I'm now using a defanged Apple laptop built in China to access Google, which appears to have strong affiliation with racist MAGA and Russia. So far, so good. Well, I limp through, to be honest, but I'm able to do shit, at least. It's annoying, but life goes on. Some sites put malicious cookies on my computer, which I can clear, while others, nice normal ones, like at least here in Hawaii, Wikipedia, do not until today. So today, something big happened. Well, I must skip back to him. Basically, my computer was supposed to be dead, and we'll see. Oddly, sometimes I can get Wikipedia to load, but not other sites. But sometimes opening Wikipedia opens the internet for other things to then happen. That was until today. We see. The thing about the cyber tech is it's software and it's continuously evolving, and you've got, the entire Kremlin team trying to conquer the entire world, basically, or China, or the cahoots of them, or I don't know how it is. This is what we're dealing with. And unfortunately, we have an administration that doesn't really seem to be on our side. One of my banks has gone to the dark side, apparently. I'm just paying attention and religiously whooping my cookies. And so you just saw woofing of the cookies. And then something else more serious. Disappointing, because I kind of like being able to download Wikipedia, but apparently Nixon was off limits. Something like this happened, not quite the same, but I was looking at an Apple Wikipedia entry, and the GIF, there was a GIF on the Apple entry. So there's places where they put, you can't call them Easter eggs, but there's some shit out there. And so you have to be able to weeble and wobble and come back somehow. But it's not normal. Okay. Dreaming of a peaceful, sustainable world. Dreaming of a peaceful, sustainable world. What would that be? Right? We have to have the dream. We have to have the goal. We have to have an idea about what's possible. And a lot of people are so depressed about global warming and stuff, they're just allowing this. They're even participating in the normalization of criminality because they feel hopeless. But there's always hope. You can always choose love. Dreaming of a peaceful, sustainable world. Consider a world where every child on earth has more than ample security, food, love, shelter, medical care, and educational opportunities. Now consider the top economies of the world today, possibly in order, and just a best guess that this might be the order. Top economies of the world today. Deadly weapons, guns, intoxicating drugs, fossil fuel energy, oil mostly, cyber tech, and human trafficking in all its forms. And that might be actually, depending how you calculate that. In a peaceful world, we don't need the kind of deadly weapon industry we have today, and we don't need the flow of drugs that is ruining so many lives. We don't need to be burning much fossil fuel, since we have then stabilized the CO2 output and addressed the climate change issue. The weaponized cyber tech of today is out of date, and there is no longer a hybrid war at global or any scale. And human slavery and exploitation in all its forms has been abolished. Dreaming of a peaceful, sustainable world. If we all want this, if we really all want this, we could have it tomorrow. It could happen. It could just happen. But we have to be clear. It means reorienting our economy. It doesn't mean the end of our economy at all. There'd be so much wealth if we stopped killing each other and fighting each other all the time. There'd be so much more to go around. Mostly here, it is about removing the cause, right? In the case of the energy sector, we will be shifting to solar for the most part. What is interesting about today is that in the USA, there's effectively a pro-petrostate war on solar and wind energy. Furthermore, there's some weird details. If you want a home-scale solar kit, apparently you have to buy electronics that want to be inside your firewall, inside your computer network, that can, if so designed in China, and this is likely, spy on everything you do with a computer on the internet. I recently had a weird experience with such a category of device made by a big company in China. The router was weird from the beginning, and although I was assured that using an app on a smartphone, it would be possible to update the firmware by customer service. After hours on the phone with customer service, well, only weird things, and then they totally ghosted me. There's something hinky with the power management on the inverter. There's a load, and then it's not showing that there's a load, and customer service wasn't willing to tell me about the two legs of power. That was weird, but figured that out. But there's just something going on where it wouldn't send power where it was supposed to. And then one of the telltale signs was that I would be getting this pulsation of a little bit of voltage on a 1 hertz cycle. Weird. And then there was a big field triggering my electrical tester. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get a video of it with the tri-field meter and really characterize what was going on. But then the way the company was behaving was quite revealing, because they basically just ran away, more or less, like no customer service. So after I had found the secondary Wi-Fi antenna in the older HP printer, and learning that computers may have more radio in them than just Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, that might be all of them actually, I don't feel safe with this device in my house, and certainly not in a position where I would be relying on it in a real emergency situation. Pass. It smelled toxic too, inside my house. Apparently, it won't operate on other kinds of batteries, although it's supposed to. It only wants like this whole kit made from the one company, but it's not supposed to be that. But anyway, that's the word. I never got that far. Just out of my house. There's a good chance this company is out of business within a year or two. It's a good chance. So forget the warranty and forget the return on investment, the ROI. Apparently the Trump administration has shut down a solar panel company in Georgia. So the Axis are basically working to protect petrostate interests and drive things toward China tech that likely features both backdoors and kill switches. So not in my house, if I can not have it in my house. No thank you. I'm looking now for an inverter that doesn't require the internet to operate, need a firmware update, and doesn't need or have, for that matter, either Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. Onward to a better world and a better future. Pretty much we have to go simpler. To get through this time, you want to minimize your contact with AI, minimize your contact with Chinese electronics. If you can do it old school, do it old school. If you can turn it off, turn it off. That seems to be the story. Okay, so I'm going to take a little break. Well, thank you for watching. I hope this was of interest, maybe helpful. So then what is the next piece? How do we close this? So there's the possibility of a broad citizen response, a broader response, and what I would call that is, and this is something I think should actually be in law, I think if a corporation has committed a certain number of felonies, it should actually have its charter revoked. Too many people are escaping responsibility for doing too much damage. But here we are. So a counterpoint to Citizens United, which is that corporations can put unlimited money into politics and wreck our democracy, which has been rolling now for long enough that, well, here we are. But a counterpoint to Citizens United is widespread citizen action, what some people are calling the fourth branch, which is the right to boycott. So boycott oligofascism. If we just stop spending money with Axis companies, they will die. Organized, large-scale boycotts are very effective. Just a clear threat is effective. Witness the way Target has bounced around on the LGBTQ issue. Bouncing around. Blowing with the political winds and under the threat of various boycotts. But a serious boycott with the intent to kill a corporation, if enough people really are serious about it, can actually deliver a coup de grace. It's possible. It would require commitment. It would require pretty major effort, but it's possible. We should actually be doing this in certain cases of extreme malfeasance. Minor discomfort, but save the world. So, a reasonable response to Russia's extreme misbehavior in Ukraine and throughout the world with hybrid and cyber warfare is to identify the relevant oligarch-owned companies and put them down. This is likely how we end the war on Ukraine. Just the threat of doing this could end the war in Ukraine. What is needed is a broad, worldwide, distributed effort, something unstoppable. Who is naughty and who is nice? To this end, with my limited understanding, I'm going to try to start a website called shitlist.com, and it'll be, maybe if I'm allowed, a $ instead of the first S. Let's see if I can make it happen. Or something else. And if it's something else, I'll put it here. Okay. So, this concludes remarks on backdoors and kill switches. And there are 2 channels. So friends, I love you. I love this world. Something is going on. Something very, very wrong. And it's our world. It's our planet. It's our starship. We have to put the tiller in the hands of good people and right the ship. It's a challenge because really what we need, what is required, what is being called for at this moment is a moment of cultural evolution. So it's not like you go from pick vanilla instead of chocolate that you're eating. It's not like that at all. This is like you have to go in your heart and whatever it is. I mean, for some people, they're going to call it, finding their Jesus moment, right? When their lives change and then they stop drinking. But it is something like this, right? We have to let go of our addictions and really take the horns of being human, right? And be fully human on Earth together as a global civilization. We need to take our place among the stars. That's what this is about. It's a big deal. It is a crisis. There's a lot of danger. It's also an enormous and exciting opportunity. It's never happened before. We've never had this constellation of factors really shoving us into having to do this. And it's only going to happen one time, and it's going to happen now. Here we are. But we have to do it. Everyone has to take responsibility, first of all, for their own heart, their own responsibility, their own words, their own thoughts, their own words, their own deeds, right? Live aloha. And we have to work together and make the world wonderful. Aloha. I love you. Doesn't matter who you are. I love you. You're maybe being really dumb, but I love you anyway. So stop being dumb. Just stop it. Let's get this together, huh? Let's take our place among the stars. All of us together. Aloha. Aloha Ke Akua. Aloha Aina. Malama Pono. Amene. Okay, this is an addendum to the Backdoors and KILLSWITCHES, which I uploaded like Monday, Tuesday, something like that. It's Saturday. It is Valentine's Day night. Yeah, I'm gonna ditch the beard. I think it's getting itchy, and Saturday is a good time to deal with haircuts and such. So I figured I'd go ahead and put this in. So there was pretty heavy beam activity after I did that upload, and then I was blocked from calling my mother. Could be Hightel, could be AT&T, I'm not sure. But this time there was this weird electronic swipe sound, and then I couldn't leave voicemail. So it was something new, a new sound out there on the phones. And then I registered some URLs, which and immediately there was maybe a strong freak out response or something, because then I tried to order some supplements and the internet was basically turned off. There you go. So the internet was blocked. So then the next day I discover there haven't been any warning texts or anything like that, and there may have been a payment issue, although I thought I'd taken care of it on the phone with one lady setting up auto pay and so on. Anyway, both my cell phones were off, and I got this weird LTE message instead of like something else. It was just kind of strange. Who knows? So possibly a missed payment issue. Auto pay has been turned off, and the system like has an old wrong card number stuck in it and won't get on there. And when I talked with a human, she tried to delete that twice and failed. So anyway, and then the computer that I'm working with to get the payment is weird, and I can't make a second payment. Like, it just is strange. It's like something's going on. Anyway, also there was an unpickable deadbolt that was opened. I think my backup lock was intact, and there was this slight smell of meth around. So yeah, we have this history of gang activity around here, unfortunately. So who knows? Meanwhile, while I was doing rock wall work, just kind of spontaneously, very quickly, I picked up this rock. I was like, oh, this looks like it would fit in this one spot I have where this north end and the south end are trying to meet, and there's like this gap. And it's like perfect. And it looks exactly like the continental United States, if you can believe that. It's like Akua is up to something here. I don't know what it is exactly, but I think the theme is something about what brings us together as opposed to what drives us apart as U.S. citizens. There's been a lot of use of wedge issues, and I think foreign players have been really amplifying this with disinformation and AI, and then there's been an agenda to kind of drive this wedge and move us into fascism or something. Criminal activity in my book, my humble opinion. But let's talk about being a U.S. citizen and what maybe we have as common ground. Love of the divine and country. We live in a beautiful country. A country that has historically offered enormous promise to people who come here for opportunity and have made this country, they've built this country. The desire for peace and the rule of law, and I actually think the majority of citizens actually want civil rights for everybody. We want to be good people, and we want to be known as a country of good, worthy, decent folk. In common is our love of liberty and freedom. We don't want to live in fascism. We want to live in democracy. And let's not make it aspirational. Let's actually have democracy. And so this founding document inspired many other countries. Who are now wringing their hands as they look at us, including France, that then gave us the Statue of Liberty, which they are, as I understand, they're asking to have it back because we don't deserve it anymore. That's a shame, and we should change this. Anyway, that's the update, the addendum to Backdoors and Killswitches, while I still have my facial hair, since it'll be somewhat consistent. Yeah. But yeah, FYI, the journey continues. And love of all people, love of our world, love of life, love of freedom. Some things are not negotiable. Be good. Know that you are loved. And we go forward together. Amen.